Now, there is something concept called decentralized finance. What it means basically that now instead of having a central entity, for example, a bank, an exchange, a central bank, or a government, anyone who have a power to control something that needed to be changed in a way that there is no central body controls that. So it takes out the four major functions which is required today to run and to produce and run money: a central bank entity, a bank, a payment network, and a model, economic model to reward everyone who is participating into this. So all of this is designed and controlled beautifully through a code in a very smart way, which does not require anyone to hack or control the system.
Thank you for joining the Change I Am Possible, which is India's first future tech meets sustainability podcast. And today I'm delighted in order to have with me Mr. Kumar Gaurav, who is the founder and CEO of Kasha. Kumar has been listed among the top 100 most influential people in blockchain in the year 2016-2018 by Rise Global, and has been nominated among the world's top 50 innovators from the industries of the future in the UK. So Kumar, it's a pleasure and honor to have you on the Change I Am Possible podcast. You've been an innovator, entrepreneur in the blockchain industry since a long time. So would appreciate if you could give a small brief introduction.
Thank you, Eddie, for the introduction and inviting me for the show. It's pleasure to always talk to the people who are working around the globe to bring some kind of change, because that's what the world desperately needs these days. We had a huge economic crisis in 2008, which had an impact globally. And out of that crisis, something called Bitcoin has emerged. But coming from a technology background, I didn't quite understand it well. So I had to educate myself. I did my master's in management from Politecnico di Milano from Italy. And that's where I able to understand more about the concepts of finance, from economics. And when I able to fully understand this, I realized that this is something, a new way how people have actually transacted and used money. So far, the money has been always a Soviet issued promise, which looks like the world, or especially the technology, have power to change it. And that's what took my interest. I completed my graduation. I started a small startup in Milan. It was for insurance. It was acquired by one of the big companies in Milan, and I moved to London to start Kasha. And that's where in 2016, the journey of Kasha started. We started a peer-to-peer transfer platform to move cash. It worked quite well. And from there, slowly we transformed as the industry started getting mature. You had the problem of the industry started getting changed and became into pure B2B banking. So today we are one of the world's largest B2B crypto banking, let's say, banking platform which supports crypto industry. I think almost every major giant which people know today, from Binance to Paxful to Nexo, Polygon, Chainlink, a lot of big players. Today we are supporting all of them to build this next generation of decentralized finance.
Beginning of the conversation, you mentioned that the world desperately needs change, and I double that because so far everything was in a linear space, but technology has thrusted us, and COVID has thrusted us, and because of technology into this world, which can be exciting and scary at the same time. For the first time in human history, have got the opportunity to correct the wrongs. What we do today can create a better future for us. You said you were an entrepreneur, but then you wanted to do something meaningful. For ages, we have always been building businesses which was only economically promising. I'm glad that there's entrepreneurs such as yourself and many others around the world are saying that there's quite a lot of wrongs. I mean, there has been obviously so many great things about the world, but there's so many wrongs that needs to be corrected. And we, for the first time, have the opportunity to correct the wrongs and build a beautiful future. Decentralized tech, I think, could play a huge role in creating that future. Today we have neobanks, we have crypto exchanges, we have got wallets, we've got crypto banks, we've got decentralized finance. So it is a little murky space for a normal lay person to understand from a traditional bank versus all of these challenger banks which has come, So could you start by explaining the difference between the traditional bank and all of these neobanks, exchanges, wallets, DeFi, crypto banks?
So there is a significant difference between first, banks, banking platforms, or exchanges. So let's start with the traditional bank. So the traditional bank, how we have seen, which let's say emerged in the Italian source 500 years ago, was a place where people used to go. It's a brick and mortar shop where people used to go, give their hard deposits, take a receipt, and then use that receipt to trade across the world. And you had a central bank which had the full control on printing these promise papers. And the banks were formed who were accepting these promise paper and in allowing the economic activities in the society. With the rise of internet have shaped the same concept into electronic format. And definitely the traditional banks slowly start getting more and more electronic, and there was something called internet banking have emerged, right? Now the internet banking was what basically gives you the same ability to do those things without going physically. The neobanks say that this new emerging banks was like took out the function of those traditional bank, which was only related for the retail users, and try to perform that function in an economic way with the use of technology to reduce the cost of operations. And that's called a neobank or a challenger bank. Now, because the world is whole connected, it's very easy for you to go on internet and find what is the actual cost of that operations, right? And that's what gave advantage to neobank, and they start building products which is cheaper directly for the retail consumer. So that's a difference between a traditional bank and a neobank. It's still for a retail function, it's still head-to-head comparison, but still there are many functions which as a bank does, which a neobank or a challenger bank does not do. Then you have exchanges, wallets. Now, they are not compared as they don't have the word banks. Neither neobank, neither challenger bank, neither traditional bank. And the reason why is because the wallets are always a closed loop network, which means Eddie is using a wallet A or I'm using a wallet A. For example, a wonderful example in India is Paytm. Now, Paytm started as a wallet. Yes, later they got a license to become a payments bank, which allowed them to start issuing account number, interest rate. But if you notice, if you have a funds in a Paytm wallet, you don't get any interest on it. And it can be only used in the places which accept Paytm. But if you have a funds in your bank account, it can be used across India or across globe. So you see, so wallet is a closed loop network. So it's completely different from traditional bank, neobank, or wallets. Then you have exchanges. So exchanges are a very subset functions where the name itself is very clear. Exchange, which means you have a product A or a money in a form A, which can be converted into form B. So that's a function. And this function always stays either in a traditional bank. For example, you can go to your Axis Bank, Yes Bank, SBI, and say that, I have 1 lakh rupees in INR and I want equivalent of United States dollar. Or you can take one of the challenger banks in India or neobanks in India and say that I want exchange function. Financial companies are doing the exchange function. Travel companies, forex companies who does the similar function. Then you have crypto exchanges who are primarily into exchanging fiat into crypto or crypto into crypto. The concepts remain same. If it's a crypto exchange, it will be converting crypto. If it's a forex exchange, it will be converting forex.
Thank you for explaining it so beautifully. You didn't touch upon decentralized finance.
Now there is something concept called decentralized finance. What it means basically that now instead of having a central entity, for example, a bank, an exchange, or a central bank or a government, anyone who have a power to control something that needed to be changed in a way that there is no central body controls that. So it's a concept on which the whole industry is working. And the first beautiful example was Bitcoin. So Bitcoin in itself, if you try to understand, is a perfect example of decentralized money. Because if you have a decentralized finance, you need to have a decentralized money. So if you see how the Bitcoin is not produced by any central bank of the world, it does not require a centralized entity to hold it. You can download a wallet in your computer and you can become a holder. It does not require a SWIFT or a banking or a payment network built by any government or any organization. It works on an independent. So if you see the Bitcoin network in itself have a central bank, which is responsible for issuance. You have a functions like bank or wallet to store it. You have a payment network, something like NEFT, RTGS, SWIFT to move this, which is called Bitcoin network. And you have its own currency, which is called Bitcoin. So it takes out the four major functions which is required today to run and to produce and run money. A central bank entity, a bank, a payment network, and a bank, and a model, economic model to reward everyone who is participating into this. So all of this is designed and controlled beautifully through a code in a very smart way, which does not require anyone to hack or control the system. For example, if we go back into the regular world to compare it, if RBI will not issue a bank notes, you will not have a bank note, which means the dependency of issuing a new note is with the government and the bodies like RBI. If you will not have a bank, you will not have a bank account, which means even if you have a money from RBI, you will not able to store it somewhere. If you will not have a payment network like UPI or RTGS or NEFT or SWIFT, you will have the money rented by the RBI in your bank, but in absence of these network, the money will not move. All of this is now done without these three parties controlling in a way that does not matter if it's my Bitcoin, I can control it. It can produce, the network can produce more, it can store and it can transact. And there's no better example than Bitcoin. And now Bitcoin being accepted as a national currency in many countries, I think now the adoption has changed its position, where before some geeks who started believing into it, some professors started believing into it, then we had some early investors started believing into it, then we had corporations starting believing into it during COVID, and now post-COVID, we have a nation states started believing and accepting the currency.
There is a massive shift which is happening, and I think that's thanks to COVID. So like you said, I mean, DeFi is not something which is new, it's been there. It's just that because of the environment, of the circumstances, people are paying attention more to something which can be completely transformational. Let's stick on to the subject of the bank, the traditional banks. If we understand that there is that gradual move and a new framework which can create better banking for everyone, why aren't we adopting that? So before we get into that, would you like to talk about the pros and cons of the banking industry?
So pros, there are a lot of pros, because the banking helps you to keep your money, invest your money, move your money, all of these which is required. There is no cons of any industry. Is the cons actually becomes behavior and the participants who are in that industry, how they are behaving becomes a cons. For example, because a technology is not right or wrong. The same way, a governance cannot be right and wrong. what possibly can happen is that you have wrong people in governance using or misusing the governance or power in their benefit, and same happens for technology, right? And that's what's happened in banking industry. Let's try to put into the Indian framework. So you had in old traditional India, India was always a farming country. Like there are a lot of farmers. You had a lot of farmers, and to protect these farmers from jamindars and sahukars, you had a 1904 a Cooperative Society Act was launched. And the job of the cooperative society was to protect farmers from the abuse of the power of jamindars who were lending money, who were giving them money, and in a return taking their lands. There was no control in this. Then 1935, you had after the First World War, you have after the World War crisis, when to protect the crisis, the British government or the whoever was the controlling, they formed Reserve Bank of India, and the purpose was to build the economy after the post World War. And but what happened in all this process, if you see the whole the banking was actually always formed on a very wrong subject. It was to mostly fund wars, and the wars were funded by people's money, by taking money. So the whole industry actually started with a very wrong investment plan, let's put it this way. And obviously when you have something like this which happens, the DNA goes through it, right? Maybe you will have people coming and fixing it, but the DNA keeps traveling, and that's what happens. The banking became more as the technology grows and everything grows. The banks became the new zamindars now, and they started misusing the power. Where, let's say, we had a lot of corruption cases in banks because the banks necessarily holds all this fund. Now it's in their disposal where they are disposing these funds. Either they are giving it for good, they are giving it for bad, or the solely purpose was to do the investment for the profit. Now, how the profit comes, there was a very little check and balance were kept, especially after the world wars, because everyone wanted to make money and to recover the economy. And that's something which degraded the whole banking institutions. The whole ideology of the banking became very bad. And the control of the power, or let's say the abundance of this power with them, without having a proper check and balance, became the problem. It's not the banking became the problem itself.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned about how these banking industry have started with the wrong note of funding wars. Industry is like a multi-trillion-dollar industry. If even a minuscule of the budget would be used for healthcare and education, the entire world would be completely transformed. Capitalism in itself has created an unsustainable world. We need a system change of sorts. I saw your twitch when you mentioned, I spoke about capitalism. Would you like to talk about capitalism and share your views on capitalism?
I have nothing against capitalism, right? We all are entrepreneurs, we all are businessmen. So if you just see that how the human race have been progressing and the environment problems have caused in last 50 years is equivalent to what was caused in last 10,000 years.
Right.
So the rate of the problem, what I see is not in any of the technology, but the rate with which the human civilization have started impacting, doing things which may become dangerous for its own existence. And the rate of that degradation have become very fast. And one of the problem is that the centralized abuse of power. If you see, the technology always came as a savior for the human civilization. So you had, let's go back, let's say 200 years ago, you had the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution almost started finishing the slavery, right? Because before you were using slaves for those things. So humans were capturing humans and enslaving them to do certain things was completely replaced by the machines. Now you don't need slaves, and they were better to doing the job. So slowly you had the slavery was gone. So the Industrial Revolution yes, impacted the environment, created a capitalism, but at the same time also finished the slavery. Then you had 100 years ago, you had the printing press, which came. Now, why printing press? It's maybe from today's world, printing press was not a big innovation. But if you go back to 100 years, printing press was a big innovation, because before that, the knowledge was held by very certain people. And then you had a printing press, which as a technology for that time was amazing. And it just opened the knowledge for everyone who can afford. And you had New York Times was created, Washington Post was created, Times of India was created, all these created. But as we progressed, you also had a problem there. Now these companies became the second powerhouse and started controlling this. So yes, it solved the problem at that time of spreading the knowledge, but after 50, 100 years, it created another problem of centralization. Then you had the internet came. Now, internet made this knowledge free for available for everyone. Now, people, if you want to get news, you will not go to read Times of India. You will open your Twitter. You will get the news more faster of a riots happening somewhere, or a fire issue, or something happening more faster on your Facebook, or on your social media, or on the electronic websites, and education and content creators like you who started creating content using it. So it's not only now Times of India can control and create and spread the content, but anyone who have access to this free technology can create a content and spread it all over the world. Obviously, now there is a second level of problem started happening on authentication and what is genuine, not genuine, certainly, because every technology solved a problem and created another problem. If you notice what is happening, it's actually a form of decentralization was happening. Before you had a knowledge of one place, now knowledge was spread through, let's say, a Times of India or printing press to everyone. Then, but still it restricted only to the elites. Then the internet came, it democratized to everyone, all the 7 billion of people, or let's say 4 billion, 5 billion people who have internet access have this. So we've been going towards decentralization as the technology is progressing. Maybe not at the level now, because the decentralization reached to money, we are paying more attention. But it was actually happening from a long time. The nature and the innovation technology was pushing us towards the decentralization. But money system was not decentralized. Money is something which was always been centralized. And I think that need to change, because, you have a saying, money is the root cause of all the evils. So I think now it's a time that the technology again have to work harder than before, because it have to fight people who are much more in power to democratize it and decentralize it.
The reason I spoke about capitalism, obviously it has served us well. It has given us everything that we have, the current luxury and stuff like that. But somehow you rightfully pointed out, every problem we solve is we are creating another problem. So we are not closing the loop. It's not a circular, we're not building a circular economy, and that's where the problem lies. And that's the reason just recently the IPCC announced Code Red for humanity. In fact, MIT researchers had predicted that humanity has close to around 40 or 50 years left if we do not take a stand and make a difference right now, because the way we are consuming, or consumption pattern is creating destruction of the environment. There is no conservation. We are constantly consuming. Kasha Bank, it's the news says you are a crypto bank, neobank. So there is a little confusion. You also mentioned that you are a B2B crypto bank. Would you like to clear the air around that?
First, we are not a bank, right? We can say as a challenger bank, a new bank, whatever. We are not a bank because, as I explained, bank have much more function than the new bank or a traditional bank, or a challenger bank. Now, we are not a crypto bank. I think that's the gap which a lot of time media have. We are like any other banking platform. So you have a business, we have a banking infrastructure. We give your business a banking infrastructure, so you can park your money, you can move your money, you can hold your money, you can take interest on your money, and all those functions are retail functions which a bank does. The difference between Kasha is that we only serve businesses. We are not a retail company. That's why we are not a brand, a household brand. So, for example, I think almost every second brand which is in crypto industry is using us. So it's one of the industry which we serve. It does not mean we cannot give a bank account to a e-commerce company, or it cannot we give a bank account to an education company. It cannot mean that we cannot give a bank account to a pharmacy. We can give bank account to any business. It's just we have focused ourselves to give to a specific industry, because every industry have a, so we are a preferred banker for the crypto industry. That's what my relation comes with the crypto industry. Now, what we have done on the innovation side, for example, you go to a bank, you deposit, you get a bank account number, you deposit your INR, you got your cards, credit facilities, whatever. We have started providing all those facilities also on cryptocurrencies. So not only the traditional fiat like USD, Euro, or Pound, but also Bitcoin, Kasha Coin, Ethereum, you have Ripple. We also have started building products for them.
What is it that you add on? What makes Kasha unique? What is it that has benefited these clients?
What makes us different is first that we are very open towards, see, I said we are using the same banking infrastructure. So we are not a part of any DeFi or anything. We are a centralized entity. We are the same regulation and everything. What helps us more than the traditional bank is the traditional, our business is because how traditional banks have been acting. So traditional banks mostly acts, or any business, I would say, after a scale, works on a pure profit risk ratio. So traditional banks were not ready to take the risk of the crypto industry. That created a vacuum in the industry, crypto industry, where the crypto industry was struggling to get bank accounts. And that's where Kasha came in picture to fill that vacuum, to onboard. So if we are talking about India, almost every name which you know in India as a crypto exchange is our customers. So even from there raising their funds at $1 billion valuation or $2 billion valuation, they need an account where this money will go. Where that money is with Kasha. So we had recently CoinDCX raising money at $1.1 billion valuation, became a unicorn in India. We are their bankers. We have KuberSwitch, now rumors to raise a valuation of $2 billion. We are their bankers. You have India's first exchange, UnoCoin. We are their bankers. You have BitBNS, a very people-centric exchange, a lot of options, margin trading, futures, this, that. We are their bankers. So that's what the clientele which we are spread. So we are spread very deep into crypto industry, that we became a very integral part of the crypto industry, that even we don't have to do anything with the crypto directly. We became a very essential part of this whole industry because of our B2B infrastructure. So because being B2B, so we going down means that hundreds of, not thousands of companies have a trouble on the same day.
Would you like to talk about your Kasha coin?
So we created an incentive model where we have a utility coin. And now what we are doing is that slowly we are getting into B2C market. Now slowly we are trying to become a retail focused company. So which means that we can onboard Eddy. Now the question is that if we are onboarding Eddy, what benefits we can give you, which SBI is not giving you, right? And that's where we came in India. We launched a brand called Unicash last month, which is giving accounts to individuals. The same what we are doing globally for businesses, in India we started doing for individuals. So now Eddy can go open a Unicash account. You will receive your bank account number. You will receive your IFSC code. So you can park your money as you are doing with any bank. And you can get first a higher interest rate. So our interest rates are going up to 9%, 9.5%, like much higher than the regular traditional banks. People can experience let's say, a new kind of banking where you can bank INR and crypto together under the same branch, like any other traditional bank, and get all the benefits. So now you can have a Bitcoin sitting in your wallet doing nothing. Now you can earn interest on that. You have a Bitcoin, but you want to start a business, and that business require INR to spend, right? In an Indian market or any other. So you can come, you can take a loan on that Bitcoin as a putting it as a collateral. So Bitcoin, essentially what we want to do in India, we want to give people in India to have a perspective that Bitcoin is actually a digital gold. Why gold has been always been preferred? The gold was preferred because you can conserve it, you can use it to take loan whenever you use. Over the period of time, it increases its value. That's what makes gold as a gold. You are not wearing any gold. I'm not wearing any gold, but we both know that we both have golds. Why we have gold? Because of these fundamentals which gold have, right? We are not Bappi Lahiri, we are using gold all the time. But we almost, every Indian is invested in gold. And because of the two fundamentals, over the time it increases its value. No government can seize it from you, or let's say no one can take it from you because it's not kept centralized. It's in with you. You are keeping it with you. And third, that whenever in a need, you can always put it as a collateral to take money for your short-term needs. The same functions we are creating with this digital product, but because India is still a very touch-based country, a physical-based company, we started online as well as physical presence. And Kasha Coin is became one of the integral parts. So you can take you can choose to take more higher interest rate if you are choosing in Kasha Coin. If you have a Kasha Coin, you can take interest-free loan up to 20 times of the amount which you are holding. So you have 10,000 rupees Kasha Coin, which means that you can take a loan up to 2 lakh rupees without any interest. So zero interest loans. So these kind of products which we are making, and Cash Out Coin is now becoming a very integral part of it.
Do you see crypto, decentralized finance disrupting or taking over the current banking industry? Because recently I believe Deloitte had released a report saying that in the next 5 to 10 years, your crypto assets or crypto could replace fiat currency. Do you see that as a possibility?
Yes, that is a pure possibility. And that's why as a Kasha, we being coming from a traditional or centralized banking facility, we are embracing crypto. So that every day when this change happens, all we have to do is to drop INR, USD, Euro from our banking platform and let other as it is. And that's what makes us special from other neobanks who are in the industry, who are still working only on those fundamentals of fiat-based currency and not open for the innovation on this side. For example, tomorrow, if you have INR will completely overtaken by, let's say, a digital crypto, what's the use of Paytm then? Because Paytm is purely functioning on INR, right? And that's where we started creating those fundamentals. So why Eddie should trust Unicash or Kasha? Because I don't know who is Kasha, but when you know that if you are using a consumer brand like Binance, you are using a consumer brand like Nexo, you are using a consumer brand like CoinDCX, you are using consumer brand like Switch, UnoCoin, and now you suddenly came to know that the company who was powering these companies from years now giving you the direct product. So it breaks that barrier and for our side, the cost of marketing for the customer acquisition.
I'm completely on for the decentralized world, for across businesses, not just banking, but across his government sector, retail, entertainment, and everything. But with the crypto itself, there are there's a lot of pros loaded onto it, because we'll be able to break the shackles from a centralized functioning and accept the new, which is decentralized, which the power goes back to the common man. Now with this crypto exchange, there are a lot of these artificial intelligence layer which has come onto it. There is now crypto AI trading bots, there are trading algorithms, and more there are bots which are trading. Where do you see the future of this industry going? Because yes, I do know that the traditional banking industry has created more problems than solutions. Will this new industry that we are so excited for, with maybe technology such as artificial intelligence and all coming in, would it be another of that sort, or uh, would there be more benefits for everyone?
I'll take a very simple example. For example, a car. A car is a technology. If you know how to run it, you're gonna use it. You will drive it. You're gonna use it to travel very smoothly. You know all the traffic laws. You will follow them. You will not have a trouble. You will commute whole day. You don't know how to drive. You don't have a driving license. You will take the car. You will run over someone. You will create problem for yourself. You will kill other people's life. The same happens with any kind of new technology. The same is also for the DeFi or a decentralized finance. We need to educate and make aware people. We need to also have a boundaries of do's and don'ts so that we can control. And that's where the governance comes in place. And that's how you can create it more safer.
Right, but the analogy does not sit so well over here, because when you said technology is a car, when we're using it, there is a human interaction with technology, automation growing in, an AI-driven algorithmic trading, crypto trading, bots, and all. These your power is going out of our hand. It is going more towards machines controlling and creating trading and things like that. Where does that go?
I will see that's something which we decided to give our control. I don't do that, right? It's like I think we are leapfrogging on certain things. So trading is only one part of decentralized finance, right? It's not a decentralized finance. Money is, I think right now problem we are trying to solve is the money problem. The money being decentralized. Obviously, money have a trading function. Not everyone have to involve with that. How many people in India have actually got exposed to mutual funds or stocks or bonds? No, not everyone. Not everyone wants to do that, right? So that's still a part of a finance. That's there. The people who want to get exposure to that, who want to give their controls to bots, and the bots are producing enormous results or a good results, and they are happy to take that risk. See, because that whole part you just talked about, investing goes to investing. Now, investing always comes with a risk. Now, the question is that are you willing to take the risk or not? If you are willing to take the risk and you want to give your finance to a bot to control it, you are free to do it on means. Now, obviously, if I have to do it, might be I will also do it, because I understand a bot can do it much better. The question is, do I'm going to bet everything on it? Maybe no. That requires still a human brain to put that where and how I want to deploy my capital. So I think those things still play the role. AI bot and bot trading, I think it's growing. We have seen also a lot of copy trades for the mutual funds coming. They are working progressively. And it's a complete trading world.
Where is the future of money going according to you? Because there's so much exciting things happening. There's El Salvador, which has adopted Bitcoin. There is, on the other hand, there's Brazil. The Central Bank of Brazil director said that governments will know everything, even if you have a Bitcoin. So there is this, I see one side there's desperation, because they know that there's this new technology come in and it could challenge the status quo. And there is so where do you think is the money going?
I will say that it will go 100% towards decentralization, and it's not because it's money or I'm working in money business, but it's because how the humans have evolved from century. That's how we have seen in the past it's happening. It's a revolution which is happening. It will happen. Governments have already started accepting it. Obviously, those who today control their piece will try to resist. It's very normal. It's nothing abnormal about it. Nobody wants to give control of power, but end of the day, the power shifts. The power never stays in one hand.
for a long time. It moves. Now I think it's time for central banks and governments to give the power to the state for the money. The same happened with the religion. The religion was actually more personal actually than money, but it got disrupted where the state have to disengage themselves from religion, right? But if you see before that, the religion and state went together all the time. But there's time came when the state and religion have to separate. Now it's a time for a state and money have to separate, and this will happen.
Right. Yeah. And I hope whatever comes in creates a larger good and benefits the planet. Kumar, really appreciate you taking time and being part of the show and sharing your insights. I per se am really excited about DeFi and technology and what's going to do to the world. And we need entrepreneurs such as yourself who want to create a meaningful and a better future for the planet and hopefully move from a centralized to a decentralized functioning. Thank you for being part of the show. And to my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. And until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.